There's a conversation I keep having with my clients lately, and it's a little bit of a delicate one, and it sits right in the intersection of trauma, visibility, and business. When you post, are you posting to be seen or are you posting to serve? This is not a marketing conversation, not really. It's actually a psychology conversation wearing a bit of a marketing costume. At the end of the day, she's diminishing her own power. Not because vulnerability is weak, we know it's not. I built my entire platform on realness. The world does not need another woman bleeding into the feed for validation that she's never even going to quite receive there. The world needs that same woman, held privately and structured publicly, standing at the front of the room saying, "I see you. I know the way, come with me." Welcome to Rich and Regulated, where women learn to build wealth in alignment and flow. I'm Jessica Soul. For over a decade, I've helped women create the lives of their dreams, and here I'll share how I build wealth, fast-track results, and reveal money truths that will blow your mind. Ready to become rich and regulated? Let's get wealthy. There's a conversation I keep having with my clients lately, and it's a little bit of a delicate one, and it sits right in the intersection of trauma, visibility, and business, which is possibly the most loaded intersection on the entire internet. And look, after a month off social media, sitting with my own relationship to posting, I feel ready to have this conversation with you guys. And here is the question at the center of everything. When you post, are you posting to be seen or are you posting to serve? And before you answer too quickly, I want to take you somewhere a little bit deeper, because this is not a marketing conversation, not really. It's actually a psychology conversation wearing a bit of a marketing costume. So if we skip the psychology, everything I say about strategy will just land as another checklist that you potentially just feel bad about. So let me start with the truth underneath all of this. At the end of the day, as women, just in general, we have a need to feel seen. And this isn't weakness, it's not neediness, it's actually a core human requirement, and it's wired into us at the deepest level. To be witnessed, to have somebody look at what we've lived, look at what we've experienced and say, "I see you. I see what happened. It mattered. You're not crazy." This is a need that women have. And here's the tragedy, right? Most women aren't really seen, not by the people who are supposed to see them, the people who are close to them. And so I'm going to speak about something a little bit personal here, and I will share it at the level I suppose I choose to share it. But as some of you know, a lot of you who's followed me for a long time will know, I've been through my levels of adversity. I've experienced domestic violence, and there are things that I went through that in many ways I chose not to detail publicly. And that choice, of course, is mine, and I hold it really peacefully. But what I will tell you is this: when I was inside of these traumatic experiences and periods of my life, and after I came out of it, I had this realization, and I recognized that I actually didn't feel very seen by anybody around me. And it wasn't for lack of trying. I told people about my experience. I told my friends. I confided in my family. And look, I told the people I believed were my people, the ones that I thought would hold me. And at the end of the day, most of them didn't, and maybe they couldn't. And look, here is the mature understanding I have come to about that years and years later. It was actually never their job to hold me. And even if it had been, they didn't know how to. Holding space for a woman who has experienced violence and manipulation and psychological abuse inside of a relationship, it's not something that the average person is really equipped for, right? It's heavy, it's confronting, it's frightening to people. And to be honest, they don't know what to say. So they say something small, or they change the subject, or they slowly drift. And look, the women who finally found the courage to speak, they learn a devastating lesson, right? So even when I tell the truth, I don't often feel held by anyone around me. And so what does a woman who's experienced some adversity do when that need is unmet? Where does a woman take her story when the people around her cannot even hold space for it, cannot even receive it? Increasingly, what is happening, and I see this happen a lot, she takes it to the internet. And this is where I want to be so careful and so honest at the same time with you, because I see this every single day and I also understand it from the inside. Women posting about their pain, women telling their stories of abuse, of ex-husbands, of manipulation, of survival, people telling their stories to complete strangers online, looking for the witnessing they never received inside of their circle, looking for validation from the comment section, because at the end of the day, the dinner table has never given them the validation they need. And I want to say this really clearly, right? Because they're not wrong for wanting to tell their story. At the end of the day, especially when it comes to abuse thrives in silence, and abuse cycles are so rarely acknowledged or seen, and every woman who speaks makes a little difference in the world. It makes it a little bit easier for the next person who may experience it. And so that wanting to share is legitimate and the need to be seen is real. But here is where the conversation has to go next. And this is the part that I've been having with a lot of my clients. And I really want to share this because I feel that so many of these women are not just survivors of their stories, they've actually become practitioners. They've become specialists. They have sweat equity now. They've got lived experience. And then they've gone and studied. They've become trauma informed. Maybe now they've got certifications, frameworks in their heads, genuine wisdom that could change other women's lives. So basically what's happening with people that I know and many people is that now they have authority, real, earned, expensive authority. And they're sharing their experience cathartically on Instagram. They post what they're feeling that day. They post the raw processing. They post their story so that they can be seen. And what I want to do today is name what I feel is actually happening when a woman with genuine authority posts purely from that catharsis, because nobody's really saying this out loud. And although it's a little bit brutal, I feel it needs to be said. At the end of the day, she's diminishing her own power. Not because vulnerability is weak, we know it's not. I built my entire platform on realness. But at the end of the day, the woman who's posting cathartically, she is diminishing her power because of what that posting attracts and what it fails to build. So cathartic posting on its own attracts one audience with precision. It attracts women who feel sorry for you as a way of feeling sorry for themselves. Women gather around pain the way people gather around an accident. They'll comment, they'll validate, they will say, oh my gosh, you're so brave, you're so strong. And they will never ever buy anything from you. They won't transform everything, and likely they won't rise anywhere because they did not come for transformation. What they came for was the shared, sitting in it, trauma bonding type of vibe. And so what's happening with these people online who are sharing from their past experiences, they're diminishing the proof that they're the practitioner, right? That they've got a decade of hard-won wisdom, right? They build an audience of witnesses instead of building an audience of clients. And then they come to me confused about why their program isn't selling, about why her following's not actually growing, about why she's exhausted, overexposed on the internet, and to be honest, she's still broke. And when we sit down together, I ask her questions that nobody has ever asked her before. And so let me ask you some of them. If you're a woman with something to sell online, what is the return on investment for your client? Not what's your story, not how much abuse have you endured. What is the return a woman will get when she invests in you? Can you articulate it in one sentence? What does she walk in with and what does she walk out with? What is your program? Explain me the program. What are your systems? What are your strategies? What are the frameworks that you've created, named, and can teach on repeat? Not the vibe of what you do, the architecture of it. How does someone come into your world and what happens to them at each stage once they do? And I hate to say it, but almost every time I ask my clients these questions, there's silence because most women can't answer any of these questions. They've got this really good story, they've got all this trauma, and then they've got like a dream. And basically they're throwing spaghetti at the wall every single day, hoping something sticks, mistaking the activity of posting every day for the strategy of building a viable business. And so here's the reframe I give my clients, and it might be the most important part of this episode. You must move from posting that says you need to see me to posting that says I see you. Now I want you to listen to that again. If you're a woman online, you need to move from posting that says I need you to see me to posting that says I see you. Because cathartic posting says, see me, witness my pain. Here's what I did today, my feelings, my processes. Authority posting says, I see you. I know exactly where you are right now. I have been there. I know the way through. And here is what I have built to walk you out of your pain. Same lived experience, same trauma, same wisdom, but it's a completely different direction of energy. And I can tell you that one of those energies will drain your power, right? It drains it into the feed, and the other converts your power into transformation for her and income for you. Notice the authority version does not delete her story. And this is the nuance that I think a lot of people really need to understand. And I refuse to lose it here, right? Your story is your foundation, and it's the foundation to your authority. So my platform years and years ago, I'm talking like 14, 15 years ago, it started off as a completely cathartic situation. I came onto social media to process my thoughts and feelings out loud. And honestly, at the beginning it worked. The more I helped myself, the more it helped other women. I was literally showing people how to lose weight after having a baby. And I will always defend the power of real, raw sharing until the day I die. At the end of the day, last month I built an entire episode around the fact that content without heart is just noise, right? So how do I hold both truths? Basically, this is how I see it. So catharsis can open the door. It makes you human, relatable, and trusted. But if a woman walks through that doorway and then doesn't find the house, the program, the system, the ROI, there's nothing to buy or become. All she's doing is literally standing in a doorway with you indefinitely in the rain. You're sharing your story in service of her transformation, right? Sharing your story in service of your own regulation as therapy, right? It's done in public for free. Tell everyone your truth, but it's costing you your positioning. It's costing you your power. And at the end of the day, you do deserve to be witnessed, but be witnessed with your truth by professionals, by safe women who can genuinely hold you. The need is real and it should be met properly. It shouldn't just be met by your business audience, because I can tell you, number one, they cannot hold space for you any more than my friends could hold space for me. So asking your market to be your therapist fails at both. You end up being unheld, you stay unserved, and this is honestly one of the reasons that I have a beautiful free community called Sovereign Wealth for Women. It's always going to be free to come in and access the other women that are sitting in the room. This is where we have real conversations off the public feed, held by other women that understand. So come in, the link is in the show notes, and take the being seen need somewhere that it can be actually met, so that your public platform can be freed up to do its actual job, which is building your authority and at the end of the day, building your wealth. So let me get a bit practical here, because if you're a coach, a practitioner, a healer, or a service provider of any type and you're listening to this, I want to leave you with a little bit of an audit. I want you to look at your last 10 posts. And for each one, ask honestly, was that post for me or for her? Did it end anywhere? Did it teach anything? Did it have a reframe? Did it move her, not you, did it move her towards anything? Could a stranger read the post and understand what I do, who I serve, and what result I deliver? Now, if 8 out of 10 of your last posts were just you processing feelings, vague inspiration with no destination, what you're doing, babe, is you have a diary, an online diary, not a business. And I can tell you, the algorithm knows it. And more importantly, your ideal client, who will never be your client, knows it too. She scrolled past you, not because your pain was not real, but because she's looking for a guide. And all you did was present as a fellow patient. So I want you to do the deeper work next. After you've done a little bit of an audit on your news feed, on the scroll hole that you've created for others, I want you then to define what your ROI is in one sentence. ROI, return on investment. Name your framework, give it a name, and map out how a stranger becomes a client in your world, step by step. Now, if you cannot do that, that's not a posting problem. That's a business architecture problem, and no amount of content will fix it. And this is exactly the work I do with women inside of my mentorship and one-to-one coaching. I take the story and the sweat equity and the building, and we make a house around it. The position, the program, the frameworks, the sales process, all of that, right? And if you know that this is your gap, that door is always open. So I want to leave you with this. Your story survived, you survived. And that survival earned you something precious. It earned you the right to lead other women out of their pain. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that leadership requires structure, not just wounds and scars. The world does not need another woman bleeding into the feed for validation that she's never even going to quite receive there. The world needs that same woman held privately and structured publicly, standing at the front of the room saying, I see you, I know the way, come with me. That woman does not post to be witnessed. She posts because she is building something, and the right client can feel the difference from the very first line in your caption. So lean in, learn from me, trust me, this will change the trajectory of your business, and ultimately it will grow your wealth rapidly. I hope you've enjoyed this little piece of my mind for this week, and I will see you next week. Have a beautiful day.